Hi guys, it's T. Lee Talks, and coming to you today with a story out of Petersburg, Virginia, that deserves a lot of attention. Here we have Tahjmere Hopkins. He was born August 9th, 1995. He's a father of one, and he's the oldest of four siblings. So Tahjmere continued his education at George Jr. in Pennsylvania before moving to Virginia with his mother. And so when he got to Virginia, he wanted to focus on becoming a rapper. He was into music. He liked writing music, but he also enjoyed playing basketball. So Taj loved to be on the court, and so that was one of his major and ultimate hobbies, was playing basketball. So Taj, and there is a bit of a discrepancy. Like in his obituary, it states May 2nd, 2018, his life was tragically taken. And then in reports, it says May 3rd, his body was found. So I believe he may have been brutally murdered on May 2nd, 2018, and he was found May 3rd, 2018. And he was found on a porch on St. Matthew Street in Petersburg, Virginia. He had been stripped naked. He was bound by carpenter tape. He had a ligature around his neck. His ankles were bound. He was shot 6 times. 2 times in the face, 2 times in the head, and twice in the arm. His arm shots were like defensive shots, as if he was trying to block the shots. So that's what it kind of states in the report. He was bound to a chair is what it states as well. But I want to note that he was not bound to a chair. He was bound in a chair. But then the neighbor across the street from the home where Tahjmere was found states that he was laying on his side and the chair was semi-covering him. So he described it as a brutal scene, and that it looks as if Tahjmere was trying to use the chair to maybe cover himself or block shots or things like that. So his girlfriend at the time, and also mother of his child, stated she communicated with him through Facebook Messenger, which a lot of people communicated with Tahjmere through Facebook Messenger, so it was not odd. This was something that he done regularly. As far as why, I'm not sure, but this is how he communicated with a lot of people. So police came, they interviewed her, they took last accounts of where he was and where she stated he was going at the time, which he stated he was going to Virginia State University's campus to play basketball. Though there has been no evidence or proof that he went to the university to play basketball. There has been no confirmed sightings. No one has came forward indicating that they have seen him at the Virginia State University campus playing basketball. So after that, about 2 to 3 days later, his Facebook page was taken down about May 6th. So police have not been able to pinpoint a digital footprint as to the where, why, and how his Facebook was taken down, and who could be responsible for that, and who has his phone or who had his phone. So there has not been anything brought forward to the family or the public as far as that information to back it up or to figure out what happened with his Facebook page. So who's responsible for taking it down? So since that time, the family has trusted the Petersburg Police Department and detectives to do their job. There has been a lot of evidence that has been collected early on, and that has not been collected early on. So right now I'm going to focus on the evidence that was not collected early on. So the chair that was found on the porch with him, whether he was sitting in it, he was bound in it, or it was covering him, is still kind of unknown. They're going off of what the neighbor kind of told investigators, how in the family, the father in particularly, that the chair was kind of covering him. So that chair was not collected at the time. Keep in mind this happened in 2018. The chair has just been collected this year of April 2022, I believe, is when the chair was collected finally from the porch. So that chair sat there for a very long time. Fingerprints could have been on that chair. All type of DNA evidence could have been on that chair. So that's very puzzling to me. So did they collect bullet casings? We're not sure. That has not been brought forward. Was there potential fingerprints around the crime scene that could have been collected? Not that they have indicated or investigated. So, as well as that Facebook digital footprint. No warrant has been conducted at his apartment during that time. Potential evidence could have been there. If he stated he was going to play basketball, he could have been confronted during that time of getting ready to leave. Never know. Evidence could have been conducted there. A search warrant could have been conducted there, and evidence could have been gathered. He did not have a criminal history. So it's important to note that he did not have a criminal history. He was not into the street life. He was not a drug dealer. He was not someone that was on the Petersburg Police Department or any Virginia Police Department as a criminal or suspect or involved in criminal activity. So, yeah. Also, there was a black SUV that may have been seen leaving the area. So that is important because people have reported that they may have seen a black SUV around that time leaving the area. So looks like that has not been looked into as well. So there are a lot of unanswered questions from the police department. And it's important to note that the police department has also changed their narratives a few times. So they have confirmed evidence that was not confirmed. So what I mean by that is they have gone to the media early on about evidence that was not confirmed. Like he went to play basketball at Virginia State University. That has not been confirmed. So they put that information out there to the media, which is not true. The media could have also helped with that black SUV seen leaving the area. So that information could have been shared with the public and the media early on if they had done their due diligence and actually began investigating this case properly from the beginning. So this next thing is kind of, it raised an eyebrow. ATF was involved, which stands for Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They were involved with this case. They told Dad that they were involved because they get a quicker response in processing evidence. But that is kind of puzzling because the person of interest was going through a federal criminal case at the time. So was Tahjmere a confidential informant? Was he involved somehow in this federal case? Did the police department know more than what they're telling the family? Did they expect this to happen because of his involvement with this case? And this is all allegedly. It's not, set in stone. It's not been confirmed, but it makes you question, did this suspect have anything to do with what happened to Tahjmere? Okay, so he was a suspect and he was charged in a federal case. He was arrested on federal charges during the time that this all took place with Tahjmere. And so now the person in interest has done his time. He's been released. And so that just leads me to question, was Tahjmere due to provide evidence? Was he due to testify? Was he due to provide feds with information? Especially since the police department in Petersburg, Virginia, is looking into this as a street crime. So they didn't bring heavy media attention to this case because they have classified this as a street crime with absolutely no connection to the streets or criminal activity at the same time. So that's kind of contradicting if they say, okay, well, Tahjmere was not heavy into the streets. He was not on our radar. He didn't even have a criminal history. He was not someone that we suspected in unsolved cases. He was not into the drugs. He was not into the firearms and things like that. So why are you guys classifying this as a street crime? Right. And so the ATF, they are supposed to protect the public from crimes involving firearms, explosives, arson, diversions of tobacco products. They regulate the lawful use of firearms and explosives, and they provide worldwide support to law enforcement, public safety, and industry partners. So it could be absolutely true that they were just trying to get evidence processed quickly, so they did use the help of ATF. But it's just strange. It seems like the police department seems to want to keep this brutal murder of a young black man, a young father, a young athlete, a young musician quiet, and kind of just in that Petersburg area. Well, this needs to be worldwide, because the more attention that this get, the more pressure the Petersburg Police Department have in getting this case solved, reviewing the evidence, actually doing their job and their due diligence to get this solved, so that Tahjmere Hopkins' life was not in vain. You know, there was no evidence he was caught in street activity. He didn't even so much as have a criminal record. So why is this not getting media recognition? Well, it's now up to us. So if anyone has any information about this case, any information about Tahjmere Hopkins that live in the Virginia area, especially the Petersburg, Virginia area, it's important to contact the Petersburg Police Department, because this case can be solved. It seems like they have all the cards that they need. They're just lacking manpower, or I guess I want to say common sense, or they just don't want to do their job. But I think it's important for us to get this out there to the media, because his mother deserves justice. His father deserves justice. His son deserves justice. He deserves to know that his father's life was not in vain, and that someone fought for him. And those someone could be outside of the family, could be the Petersburg Police Department. So contact the Petersburg Police Department in Virginia, and justice for Taj.
It's been 4 years. Nobody has said anything. Even after you heard gunshots. When you know it's in the clear, at least you come outside and you look around to see, you know. So for you to just not come outside at all and look around, and because you could, if you live right across the street, I'm sure you could have seen his body. So I don't understand how nobody saw nothing. I just don't understand.
Out of all of his injuries, which one stuck out to say this was personal? Because it was very personal.
The fact that they tied him up, the fact that you got him tied around the neck, like you up close, you got him naked.
The way that his wounds were, they're very close, personal wounds to his face. He was shot 4 times in the head, according to the autopsy. He was bound, he was gagged.
It appears that a message was trying to be sent, yes. He suffered.
We were able to get documents from the courts in Chesterfield County, and it did show some sort of a beef between Taj and a man that was known to the family. So this is the last complaint that Tahjmere had against